I mean, I'm excited to put on a Phoenix jersey that has my name, that has Maluach at the back, and I'm just excited to play for the Suns and step on the floor.
That's Khaman Maluach last night speaking with the assembled media at the NBA draft. The number 10 overall pick in the draft, the newest member of the Phoenix Suns. Mitch Vareldzis, Connor Collins back here with you on this Arizona Sports at Night Power Hour edition. And there was a word in there that he mentioned, and I mean, look, let's be real. Every draft prospect would say something similar to that about how excited they are to join their new team and how excited they are to be able to play in the NBA. But let's flip it a bit. Let's ask the excitement question to the two of us. Let's just ask each other here. Because quite frankly, I don't think that this offseason was going to take a turn for the better until last night. And now it feels like the offseason has taken a turn for the better. Or am I getting a little ahead of my skis here and assuming that brighter days are ahead, to use a Suns pun there, Connor?
Yeah, I mean, this is it's interesting, right? Because not often do you trade away somebody who is a 27-plus point scorer per game in Kevin Durant, a guy who's going to be in the Hall of Fame, and then you say, yeah, we found a way to get better as the week went on. But to be fair, I think that's exactly what the Suns did. They decided at the end of the day, Kevin Durant being gone was inevitable. Man,
Yes.
I can't talk right now. Excuse me.
Inevitability, but it's okay.
But we knew Kevin Durant was not going to be a member of this roster. So I think with that in mind, Brian Gregory said, I'm going to go out and get the best package I can. And when you bring in somebody like Jalen Green, who I believe does have all-star potential in him, you bring in somebody like Dylan Brooks, who has proven that he can be an all-league defender and a good leadership guy in your locker room. And then you go and have the draft that you do, right? Where you go and get a top 10 prospect. Mm-hmm. Some would even say a top 5 prospect, and you get him at the value without having to trade up. You bring in a veteran center in Mark Williams, and then everything that happened today, starting off with number 52 and 59, and somehow climbing that ladder all the way up to 31 and walking away with R.J. Fleming. I just think, to me, as a Suns fan, it's hard not to take that all in totality, look at it, and not be optimistic. That, to me, sounds like a general manager who's going to come in with a chip on his shoulder, who might have heard all the noise about people saying, who is this guy? Does he have any experience? What's he doing here at this? I mean, it almost sounds like kind of these young guys who have played NBA 2K or Madden all their lives, and they finally get the chance to run their own team. And he's just going to take a shot in the dark, and that's what it seems like he did. He took a lot of shots. You got to hope that they pay off. There are going to be some guys, like we talked about earlier with the injuries with Mark Williams, but if you can find that silver lining and these guys end up paying off for you, I don't think it's going to be too hard to forget about the Kevin Durant era.
For a first-time GM, he seems to have been making a lot of very seemingly responsible moves with some slight. Look, I'm not going to say everything's perfect or everything's been perfect in terms of this offseason and Brian Gregory at the helm and whoever the hell else is in charge up there. But I will say I'm vastly impressed with what he's been able to do in this short time window. Let's basically just take Kevin Durant trade to now.
Yeah.
Think about everything that he's done in that time frame, and you've laid out a lot of it already, but I'm thinking about it from the complexity standpoint of somebody who's only been in the front office for 2 years, got promoted to this role to be in charge of the basketball operations. I'm shocked that he was able to pull off some of the moves that he did. Am I pleased with every single return or every single package sent out? No, but that doesn't matter. What I'm trying to get at here is I was worried that this was going to be run into the ground in their attempt of trying to restructure this roster. And quite frankly, he's done a very respectable job trying to build this thing back into a much more balanced unit. And I give Brian Gregory hella props for that.
It would be easy for this year to have gone into it, said this is going to be a rebuild. We're going to figure out what we're going to do with our future. And yeah, Devin Booker's along for the ride. It is what it is. But instead, it ended up being more of a retool. And he found ways to.
It really did.
He found ways to still be a competitive team. When I look at this Suns lineup, and again, nothing is set in stone yet. We still have to see how guys pan out in Summer League and what other moves still could happen. But I look at this Suns lineup, and I think, Yeah, why wouldn't a play-in option be in play here, right? Why wouldn't this team be a 7 to a 5 seed, something like that? It takes a lot of optimism and it takes a lot of guys to play really good basketball, but I think you're not asking for too much when you have Devin Booker leading the way there. And I do think that, when you bring this in, Brian Gregory did not have a lot of fans that were going really rah-rah at the helm for him. But right now, this is something I wanted to do a little bit earlier. I just like to go onto Twitter, X, whatever you call it these days, and see what people are saying, what some fans are out there saying. And it's overwhelming positivity towards Brian Gregory. I mean, here's one here from Ridiculous Cage, and it's got the Pope with the little meme of him holding up, and it's a picture of Brian Gregory in the interview. And you got here, it's Brian Gregory right now. This is from Sun's Uni Tracker, and it's the little ratatouille with Remy going around cooking it up. I mean, that's good because a couple weeks ago, if you looked up Brian Gregory and you were looking at these chats and you were looking, it wasn't very nice. And it was a lot of Suns fans who felt like the process to get there, to get to Brian Gregory, felt a little lazy. But I must say, he is taking this opportunity. How much of it is Matt Ishbia kind of looming over his shoulder?
Right.
I wonder that as well. But it's a good start.
And I think there's still a lot left to be done. Like, this is the easy way to put this is, and I don't want to make any declarative statements as to whether or not I'm bought in. I still think that they're not going to be a great team in the West. Are they going to be a much more balanced team? Yeah. Are they going to be more competitive? Yeah. I think those are true. Are they going to be a better team than they were last year? I do not know. I think they might be as good as they were last year record-wise, but they'll at least feel like a more coherent unit. There's still a lot left to be done this offseason. There's a decision to be made on Bradley Beal, and Bradley Beal plays as much into that as any character in this story, but there's something that is going to be done when it comes to Bradley Beal. That's probably the largest hanging item on the to-do list right now. There's questions as to whether or not Grayson Allen or Royce O'Neal are going to make it through training camp as a part of this roster. As we've mentioned in the last segment, there is an extreme glut at the center position to the point that, Mason Plumlee is probably not going to be brought back. They're probably not going to bring back Bol, but you still have Nick Richards and Oso Ighodaro on the roster. What are you going to do with them? You just added 3 guys via the draft that maybe are all going to see rotational minutes. How are you going to feed everybody? There's a lot of bodies to feed now, and I just wonder how they're going to handle the rest of this offseason knowing what is still left to be done. This is a good start, but there's still a lot to do.
If I could just go out there and have my wish list, and like I said, to be fair, in my personal opinion, it's been a good start. We asked for a center. He went and got us 2 of them. We asked to get a power forward that can play some defense. He went and got R.J. Fleming, who's got a 7.5-foot wingspan. I mean,
yeah.
this is a guy who can do what we're asking. So now, if I continue to add to my wish list and I can continue to see what Brian Gregory or Matt Ishbia can bring us, I would love if we can bring in a veteran point guard, somebody who can run the one truly. And I know there's been talks of Chris Paul maybe thinking about moving back to the West or thinking about getting into coaching as like a player's coach, whatever that may be for him. But somebody of that somebody who can run the point, because I think Jalen Green is somebody who very much resembles Devin Booker. It's going to be hard to have those 2 guys in your starting lineup and not have a very ball-dominant backcourt. So if you can get somebody who can distribute, someone who can get these younger guys involved, like we talked about with a little bit now more rim presence, throwing the alley-oop, things of that sort, I believe that's probably the next step for me. If Brian Gregory can get me a facilitator, a true number 1, I think that would be great to see on that roster.
And Gambo was saying on the air before they called it a day on Burns and Gambo that there was mention of he wasn't reporting this necessarily, but Tyus Jones was on the team last year. Did the Suns consider bringing him back because the price is going to be relatively inexpensive because he didn't have a great year last year? Do they consider Colin Gillespie, and do they give him a full guaranteed contract instead of a two-way deal, and they just elevate him as one of the point guards? And there's still so much left to be done. I'm fascinated to see where they go with it. It feels like this is a good first step. I'm not bought in. I want to make that clear. But I'm at least taking this team a lot more seriously than I was several weeks ago when it was, oh my gosh, they're just going to do everything Michigan State and we're all going to hate it. Well, Guess what? Now they've taken a bunch of Duke Blue Devils.
Yeah, better than you felt 5 days ago, man. What could you
Yeah.
imagine if it was Chase Richardson who was the pick there?
He's going to be great for the Orlando Magic.
He's
though.
going to be great for them, but could you just imagine how
It
the
would've-
fans would have reacted?
Oh my gosh.